Ring Around Rosie by Aubrey Farr. Chapter 1. The sound of a car trunk slams. "Mom, I don't want to move away to the country," I complained, tugging on my mother's shirt. My mother only smiled at me before telling me to get in the car so they could go. My father was the one who packed up most of the car, seeing how there was a lot more heavier stuff. I sat in the back seat, looking out the window to my old house. I frowned as I realized I'd have to leave my friends, school, and childhood home behind. "I don't want to leave," I murmured under my breath. "Ready to go, Rosie Mosey?" my mom asked as she got into the driver's seat. I shook my head in response. Of course I didn't want to leave. It was my home, my sanctuary. No one would want to leave a place they feel safe at to go to some completely unknown place. Sure, I'd still have things from my old house, but it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be playing in the same yard or look out my bedroom window to the same trees or the same grass. It wouldn't feel like home. Not my safe place, and not my childhood. I may as well start all over again. I mean, who would want to build things up just for someone to come and knock them down? I see it as utterly pointless, a waste of time. My mom will never understand, no matter how many times she tells me she does. That's because she's never experienced this. It's not fair. My mother and father both got to keep their childhood, their home, their own little story in their own life. Me? I have to restart with my friends, school, and even my bedroom. I had my bedroom decorated head to toe with pictures, posters, and just decorations of my almost perfect life. You know why I don't want to go? I hear the place is haunted. That house in the middle of nowhere was abandoned for years because some lady offed herself in there after being separated from her husband and kids. That's what I hear. But Mom tells me that people say that just to scare me, to put false rumors in my head. Why would I believe any of that anyway? Though, the more I think about it, the more I start believing it's true. What person would live out in the middle of nowhere and enjoy staying there? My guess is that the place is haunted, like people say. You can hear the lady's cries in the middle of the night, or hear the floorboards creak as she walks the halls. I won't believe it, not if I'm going to live there. My thoughts are interrupted as my mother speaks. "GPS says it'll be 15 hours till then, so we have a long road ahead," she said to my father as he got in the car. 15 hours? This is gonna be a long trip. Chapter 2. "Rosie, help your father with the small boxes, will you?" my mother shouted as she unpacked things from the kitchen. "Okay." I looked around my newly empty room, running my fingers along the walls and window sill. I didn't like the color of the walls in my room at all. The color was a nasty greenish yellow with a weird bright yellow pattern. Oh, how I scrunched my face in disgust. "Who even likes that color?" I said as I closed my door and ran downstairs. "Mom, can we paint my room? The color of my walls is so hideous, it looks like a troll lived in there." My mom chuckled, setting some condiments down. "A troll? Really?" I frowned at her as she laughed. "Yes, a troll who has no sense of fashion or color matching whatsoever." "We don't have paint right now, Rosie." "Then we can buy some. The nearest store is 30 minutes away. Then we should go before it gets dark." "Can't you wait?" "No, there's no way in how I'm sleeping in there." My mom sighed before walking away with her head shaking. I don't think she takes me seriously sometimes. After helping my dad with unpacking my room, I went out to explore the yard. "Mom, I'm going out to explore around the house." I ran out the door before she could respond, springing down the stairs to the outside porch. I looked around the yard. I saw a tree with a tire swing tied to it. Kids? I thought. I never thought about the lady actually having kids. I thought it was just another excuse for a poor woman. If she did, what happened to them? I started to walk around the house to the backyard where there was a large barn. "I hope we never need to use this," I murmured to myself as I started to walk closer to it, peeking inside. The barn was mostly crumpled in with the paint peeling off it it seemed like. Small piles of hay lay around, and other old things that were hard to name. For the most part, the barn was pretty empty, except for a corner where lots of closed boxes sat. I thought that maybe Dad had put them there for later or something, so I left the barn and headed to a small well near it. The well was made of moss-covered bricks that looked as old as the barn, a rusty bucket slightly swaying on old rope from the breeze that blew. As I began to walk away, there was a voice. "You don't belong." I whipped around, my eyes darting for the voice, but no one was there. No one could have said that, and yet someone did. I gulped, standing there for a second as I was too scared to move. "Hello?" I managed to say, my body refusing to move. Nothing. No one was there. Must have been in my head, I told myself, quickly turning around to head back inside. "My house." Again, the voice spoke again. It was a hush, but it was bone-chilling because no one was there. I refused to turn around this time, but every time I walked faster, it felt like the yard got longer, like I was walking in place. I started to pick up the pace, but the faster I ran, the longer the yard stretched. It stretched so far that the house seemed out of reach, too far even if I ran my heart out. "Leave me alone!" I screamed. "I don't even want to live here, so leave me alone!" I squeezed my eyes shut, covering my ears, trying to resist the voice that plowed through me. "Leave my house." There were whispers everywhere. I felt as if I were being strangled, cold bare hands squeezing my neck as I got up and ran as fast as I could to the barn. I pushed open the barn doors and hid behind the boxes that Father may have left. I tried to control my breathing as footsteps came into ear. I covered my mouth, squeezing my eyes shut as footsteps grew louder. "This is my house, my barn." The footsteps stopped. Now it was silent. I slowly opened my eyes to be met with bare feet. Muddy, cold, bare feet. They were so pale, so blue, I was sure they belonged to someone dead. I refused to look up. I couldn't look up. The lady had something in her hand. It looked like a small necklace. It had a charm that had a green emerald with a small rhinestone pattern where the charm was supposed to be. I slowly looked up, the feet turning into legs, the legs turning into a body, and the body turning into a head. I didn't know if this was the lady or not. I thought she would look old and wrinkly, but this lady wasn't. She had smooth skin, but it was pale, her long brown hair sitting on her shoulders. It looked brushed and kept. She had a long dress that looked like it was for spring. It was a yellow dress with flowers on the bottom. Was she dead? Why was she so pale if she wasn't dead? "My barn," she spoke. Her voice sent chills down my spine. It was so dark and cold. It didn't match my face at all. Before I could speak, she screamed, her face immediately turning old and wrinkly as she pointed her finger at me as she screamed. I screamed as I got up and ran from the barn, but before I could make it to the door, she grabbed me. She had her cold hands around my neck, strangling me as she repeated her words. "Get out! Get out! Get out!" I choked, tears streaming down my face as I held on to her wrists. Then everything went dark. Am I dead? There was nothing but darkness all around me. Everywhere I tried to look, there was nothing. I felt my skin go cold, my face grow gross and wrinkly. I screamed so loud I might have gone deaf from hearing my own voice. "Get out! Get out! Get out!" Chapter 3. I heard my name, someone shaking me as I screamed. "Rosie? Rosie, wake up!" It was my mom. I opened my eyes to see my mother. She put her hands on my shoulder as she looked at me, afraid. Rosie, dear, it's okay. It was only a nightmare. Except it wasn't. The lady's necklace that was in her hand, the one I saw, I was wearing it. Mom, I don't want to live here. I saw her, the lady that died. She was chasing me, and she got a hold of me, and she started choking me, and... My mom hugged me, rubbing my back. It was a nightmare, Rosie. It's all right. I hugged my mom back, not wanting to let go of her.
Cliffhanger! Dun, dun, dun!